Wicked Metal Reviews.
Hey. Hi. So we're gonna review Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire because those games just came out on November.
Nintendo.
On Nintendo.
November 21st.
November 21st. That's what it was. You know, for the 3DS. And that's it. So we're gonna give our thoughts on it. I think both of us we've really only played Omega Ruby, so. I mean, the Alpha Sapphire is not going to be too much different, but it's, I guess, worth note. So, I'll let you be the ringmaster of this. Where we go?
Well, how long did it take you in the game to get to the Elite Four, like in-game hours?
To get to the Elite Four, I think took me 24, 25 hours.
It took me like 33 hours overall from like starting the game to beat the Elite Four, not including the Delta episode. I'm up to 50 hours in the game now. And I beat the Elite Four, the Delta episode. I did a couple other things. Like overall, I'm pretty much finished with a lot of the stuff in the game. Just now, I'm exploring. I've gotten to the part where now I'm starting to breed. So you know, like you're closing in on like not a lot of stuff left to do in the game. So overall, like 50 hours of content, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't grind really at all up until this point, which hasn't been a problem until. Now that I've got to the Elite Four, because now they're like 8 levels above me. But I turned off experience share just because I was like, I'll do it once just to see what it's like. And
do the old way.
Do it the old way, but it kind of sucks just a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Playing X and Y, I'm so used to being spoon-fed, I guess.
Yeah, spooned. I feel like these games, they stay pretty true to the originals. And at least to me, overall, they weren't that challenging compared to like older games when you had to like I'm still playing through Platinum now. I bought it a little while ago. I bought it again because I had it before and I traded it away or something like that. Not traded it away, sold it.
Yeah.
But like, cause you like whatever. But then I bought it again and I still haven't beaten it. Even though I bought it a little while ago, I haven't beaten the Elite Four or anything. And you really have to work for those games. X and Y, everything for the 3DS, X and Y, and now the remakes, they aren't that challenging sometimes when you really put in the hours and you work, you have that work ethic like you had in the old games, and you apply that to the newer games, it seems like you wipe everyone out.
Yeah, I mean, this game isn't as hard, I don't think. Like, I remember, again, the generation that I have the most experience playing still. Well, maybe this gen is taking it because I mean putting 120 hours into X, but it's the first gen. Like the first gen, you could probably before you go on to the next gym area, you'd probably want to stay like in that area fighting like wild Pokemon for like an hour, trying to level up because otherwise you're just not going to do well. But like I said, I did very little grinding, and I'm now kind of hitting a bit of a snare where it's like, oh, now I actually have to kind of grind a little bit because it's again I'm kind of really underleveled at this point. But then even like earlier in the game, being underleveled didn't mean that much. If I was like 38 facing like a 43, like I could still kind of take them pretty handily. Like it's I don't know. It's like again, it's as you probably said, it's more challenging than X and Y, I'd say, but that's not saying too much.
Yeah. In the same vein that they stay true to the originals, they definitely have a little more personality than the originals. But, you know, they're Game Boy Advance games, and I'd say like old Game Boy Advance games can't have any personality. It's just they built upon the game a little bit and spiced it up with certain things like the story and characters and whatnot. And gave it a little visual effects, too, that made them a little bit better.
Yeah, there's a lot more cutscenes, I think, in this game than even in like X and Y. I know for one thing, it was something that I thought was cool. But, like, yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I played Gen 3. I mean, Gen 3 up until, X, Y, and now that was the last generation I'd played up until this point. And, yeah, I mean, I don't remember it too much, but there's some things where I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of remember something about this. Like, I remember waking up Groudon. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember something about a submarine, but not too much.
Roy Hibbert.
But, I also like how they added the new stuff in, but didn't force it down your throat. Like with Mega Evolutions, they didn't make the story completely revolve around Mega Evolutions. But then it wasn't like you should already know that there are Mega Evolutions. Like they introduce it and they introduce it like in the story, and they actually pretty creatively, I think, with the whole thing with Latios and Latias, but like. It's there, but it's not too intrusive, I thought, which is really cool.
Yeah, it mixes in pretty nicely. Speaking of the visuals, you have to imagine this, alright? It's like X and Y is like the ground, okay? And then, so they're basically on the same ground, the same plane of existence. And Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, build on that. They're based on the same plane of graphics, visuals, and things, the existence of things. But they definitely spice it up in some cases. Personally, I thought the 3D felt smoother in this game when I turned it on. Because I had like this weird experience with X and Y where I'm like, I don't even want to turn it on, man. But then in this game, sometimes I turn it on and I'm like, this is better than X and Y. It's not fixed yet, but it's better than X and Y.
Yeah, I haven't really turned on 3D too much, so I can't really voice an opinion. But I mean, you still have to look at the screen at the perfect angle in order to really get the full idea of the 3D. So that's one bad thing. I think the backgrounds, of battles, look a lot better.
Yeah. Especially in gyms where they really detail the backgrounds. It never popped out to me where I would notice, off the top of my head, where something that I know from X and Y, oh yeah, in this gym, the background looks really cool. Just because in this game, it stands out to me more. I'm not sure what it is, but it stands out to me, whether you're out in a field or, on a mountain, or the desert, the background scenery where you can see some mountains in the distance in the desert, and the trees look better. More detailed if you're, in the forest.
Yeah, in the game, for the most part, I think runs better. I've only ever had a couple, in-battle frame rate problems occasionally, where it's just whoa, what just happened? I mean, it's not like Assassin's Creed Unity bad frame rate problems, but it's you can kind of tell, oh, there was a stutter. I'm oh, what the heck just happened? And which I never noticed in X and Y. But then maybe this game's trying to do a little bit more. Again, everything looks a bit prettier. And it's just so, that could account for it, maybe.
Also, one thing about the 3D, it looks smoother at some points, but when you turn it on in the battle, it slows it down and gets all, in X and Y, you ever turn the 3D on in a battle and it's slower and it's all blocky and stuff. That's back, but in some of the cutscenes and stuff, it looks a little better. Maybe it's just all in my head, but I don't know. Speaking of the battle scenery, some of the graphic highlights in this game, to me, just because I wrote a couple of these down while playing through the game, I like the way Pseutopolis looks. I like the tree, and it feels like it brings the city together more.
Pseutopolis was cool.
Just generally being underwater looks really cool, especially when you're going down to the underwater cavern where Team Aqua or Team Magma is to go in to get Groudon. They're you're in the game, you're on that flat ground basically, but you can see beneath you. You can't go beneath you, but you can see beneath you a chasm, and you can see sometimes I think Relicanth, I've seen him before. You can see Corsola floating around. You can see around in areas that you can't travel to in the ocean, but you can see background and beneath you and above you, and you can see around, which is pretty cool. It adds life to the to underwater.
I haven't used dive too much. I kind of used dive for that part of the game, and that was kind of it, honestly. Dive's cool and all, and it's a cool move, but I don't know. I never got the big deal about dive. I understood, even though I did think, oh yeah, these are going to be some pretty great visuals, diving. That's going to be the big thing, because, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't diving just almost not a cutscene, but something of that sort in the original? You didn't actually go underwater and move around?
No, you did.
You did?
Yeah.
Like you said,
but it didn't look anywhere as cool.
I almost expected more, though. I don't know what I expected, but I almost expected more.
I kind of feel a little bit in that I feel you in the way that I wish there was more, area, more to explore underwater. when you go underwater, yeah, it looks pretty cool, and there's some grass, and there's some trainers here and there, which is another thing they add that's pretty cool, but it's not like there's an underwater city or an underwater, gym where you can get ripped or something. Yeah, underwater secret base, that would be cool. There wasn't enough to like explore underwater, but there were some places, and what was there was pretty cool. I just wish they like, all right, well, if we're gonna have to bring dive back because we haven't had dive, for a while now, and we have to put dive in this game. Let's make the best of it. But they could have done more. I felt. Meteor Falls look pretty cool. I just noticed the water in Meteor Falls.
Which one's that? Oh, right.
Yeah, where you get the meteorite.
All right. Yeah.
I thought the water in there looked really cool. It looked really cave-like, and that's just something that I noticed. Like, you could see the depth of it, and you could see the bottom of it, and it just looked really cool. It's one of those small things that they add that's just a visual that looks cool, and, it just looked cool. Granite Cave was pretty cool with the mural on it.
Yeah, the mural was really
meet
cool.
Steven and
which that's different. Wasn't that like an actual like thing, like almost like a cave you had to go around in the originals? But no, it's just
yeah.
You just walk in and there he is, and there's the mural of whatever the
it looks pretty cool
is.
too. Yeah. And Groudon looked pretty cool.
Oh,
like his animation, some of his animations looked really cool, especially when he turns into Primal Groudon. I'm guessing the same for Primal Kyogre, but Groudon, it's all like I'm gonna do a bunch of stuff, yoga and stuff, stretch around or whatever. Last thing for visuals, at least, to purely put something in the visuals area of this review, the Soaring in the Sky. I thought it was really cool. You've seen it in some of the trailers where you're up in the air and, you press B and you, like, Latios will spin around, you get, like, a speed boost, and, it's really cool being up above. You can fly up higher, you can go down lower, you can see where everything is. It's the more scenic route of flying, route, whatever you say. It's more scenic, it's not direct, like, fly will get you someplace right away. But Soaring in the Sky, it's like, yeah, it's pretty cool, but it takes a while. It takes a little longer than fly to get somewhere you need, but not like it doesn't take like 5 hours,
Yeah, I think the Sword in the Sky. I haven't done it yet, but I mean, by seeing the trailers and hearing you talk about it, it sounds cool. But I almost really just don't understand why they didn't make that like an option when you use the actual fly, like. I don't know. I mean, that's just me, but it's like, yeah, you already have a fly, and I mean, yeah, maybe you can pick between like, oh, you can fly straight there, or hey, you can encounter Pokemon up in the sky, or to do that stuff. But like, I don't know if it really warranted its own separate thing. That's just my.
It kind of feels like one of those things that they're giving you a taste of something. Like, we're gonna start moving into this. And it could be something in the future for more games of the future. It could be like, oh, we're just gonna do this and never do it again. That would kind of suck. But it'd be cool if they expanded on that, like they've expanded on when you're surfing. Get into the gameplay a little bit. The elements. When you're surfing on Whalmer. You can actually see Whalmer. You're surfing on Whalmer or Sharpedo. Whether you're diving or surfing, you're on Sharpedo. And I heard Kyogre, but I haven't gotten Kyogre and Alpha Sapphire yet. I haven't even opened the plastic yet, but I'm going to. But apparently you can Kyogre too, and Sharpedo moves super fast, and that's awesome. So hopefully they can expand on that with flying. You can fly on more Pokemon, and that would be something pretty cool to spice up the flying and surfing like they spice up surfing now. Speaking of fly and surf, the HMs in the game. Flash is no longer an HM, but it's something. A couple of things in a row here. I read a couple of reviews on the internet before I got the games. I was reading a couple of reviews here and there, and a couple of them really stood out to me. A few of them talked a little bit about HMs, how there are more HMs now, 7 total. Flash hasn't been an HM for a while now. I'm glad about that.
Yeah, because Flash was kind of useless.
Yeah, but it could be time now. Where in this game I feel like Rock Smash, you need it when you're heading north from Mauville and maybe to help that miner, see his girlfriend.
And like a couple
cave.
like small things, like I think on like Victory Road, I think too.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and you need Rock Smash some places, but it could be moved to a TM. So Rock Smash is always. It seems like it's one of those moves that a lot of people are like. I have to teach my Pokemon Rock Smash.
I kind of feel that way.
Yeah, and then you like Fly. With Latias now, you don't really need it, but if you want to get somewhere fast, you do. Cut. There were trees here and there, but it feels like time that they start to do away with some HMs.
I can agree with that. I mean, I think Surf, Fly, and probably Strength are probably the ones they should keep. Because, I mean, Strength, the rock puzzles are really good. Like, the one in the Cave of Origins, or the couple of them that were in there, I thought were really good. Like, I don't remember there really being any kind of, like, rock puzzles in X and Y. It was mostly just put this rock in the hole, and then here, now you can go through. And now it's like, hey, you have to maneuver them all around, and there's, like, 8 that you have to try to figure out how to move. Like, that was cool.
Waterfall is
no.
Like it seems
maybe just make that part of Surf, like at least the option.
In games, it seems like you only need Waterfall to get to the Elite Four, to get up something, to go to the Victory Road, to go to Elite Four. I remember you needed in X and Y, you needed an Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. You need just off the top of my head, you needed it in the remakes of Generation 2. You didn't need it in Black, White, Black 2, White 2, but. It seems like that's what Waterfall's for. And occasionally here and there you can go up a waterfall, but it's like, it's just not enough reason to use like Cut and Waterfall. And Rock Smash I get, but if you can make Flash a TM, Rock Smash a TM, but just some things that like, sometimes I don't want to always run to the move deleter.
I mean, in a way, with especially you could just not... you don't have to have those kind of Pokemon on your team. Like, that's what I did. Like, I caught a Zigzagoon really early on. I taught him Cut, and then it's like, oh, since you never really have to go anywhere specifically where you need Cut, it's like, okay, I'm going to go through an area, get through all the trainers, just so that I don't have to, worry about maybe getting caught with my pants down around my ankles and having a level 2 Zigzagoon in my party. But then I just go through, and then I'll go and I'll cut down things and explore certain areas. Like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not necessary, so you don't have to teach it to your Pokemon almost as quickly. Now, Rock Smash you need for a couple places, but again, you could do the same thing. You could just not,
Yeah. Another thing I read in reviews is a pretty big thing. I guess a lot of people made fun of. Too much water.
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, like for the first. Well, then again, it's also probably just for the part of the game. You don't actually get Surf until, like, what, the 6th gym? 5th or 6th gym, something like that. And so, and up until that point, there's not any water that it's like, oh, I have to go across this. So it's like, only the last part of the game, which even then, I mean, heck, you don't have to surf everywhere. I mean, that's what I do. I surf maybe if I'm going to look for Pokemon or trying to find a certain area. And then after that... I just fly there, which is something. You can fly to routes now. So, I mean... Yeah. So now it's like, you don't have to, like, oh, I need to get to the middle of this route. I guess I'll have to surf there. You can just fly there. Which is cool.
I mean, heading right from Maulville, you need Surf to get over that little bit of water. And I'm like, yeah, too much water? Come on now. So I'm preparing in this game. I'm like, maybe they made the water huge. Maybe it's like just this huge, ocean now. And it's so big. I get up to Lily Cove, after dealing with Team Magma and this and that, and I'm about ready to head to Mall Steep. I'm thinking, alright, let's do this. I have Sharpedo now, and Sharpedo, it's really cool, like I said earlier. Sharpedo actually goes faster than other Pokemon. That's a really cool thing they did. He just fucking cruises, and it's awesome. And I'm on Sharpedo, and yeah, I go and I battle the trainers and stuff, and then I get to Mall Steep, I'm like, well, that was nothing. Even on Sharpedo, I'm going around battling trainers. If anything, even going down to like Sootopolis, they made the water smaller. They really did. If you play through the originals and you kind of remember it, they made it smaller. They made it feel smaller. And if anything, I kind of wish there was like more water in some places, just because Sharpedo goes so freaking fast. It's fun. Sometimes I just want to cruise on Sharpedo without like, landing on the Shard guy's house or running into some rocks here and there or whatever. I want some big open straightaways. If anything, I kind of wish there was just like some area with a little more water, but it didn't really feel like there was too much water.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, you don't need to cross water till later parts of the game. I mean, so I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, even then, like you said, if you get there, you just fly.
Like if you honestly don't like surfing, you don't like the fact that there's water, just do that. Just, I mean, use it for as long as you have to. I mean, heck, surf could be what your rock smash in this game. Just surf there, get there, and then never touch the water again and just fly.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing that I read, especially on IGN's review, I just kind of thought it was silly. I got to Mauville, and Mauville's been reconstructed now. It's not spelled Mauville like mall. It's spelled like M-A-U-ville, but it's like a mall now, like M-A-L-L. You get inside, and they talked about getting lost in Mauville, and it's a square.
It's a fucking square with something in the middle.
Yeah, that's
all
exactly
it is.
what I thought. And the upstairs is a square too.
Now maybe getting lost as in, okay, where the hell is this specific place that I'm going to, like the move tutor or something, or the bike shop? Maybe, but like still, you go around the circle enough times, or the square, you're gonna fucking find it. Like,
yeah, that's just something I thought it warranted putting in this review, just to say like, IGN got lost in Mauville. I mean, you really like. Come on, you're going to listen to the rest of the review when they get lost in Mauville. It's like, come on now. But another thing about Mauville, no more Game Corner. No more Game Corner.
I think they did the lottery thing in
like the lottery thing in the department store?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no Game Corner. I can't sit around and gamble. I mean, come on. It's like in future games. But still, I just want to gamble. Sometimes I just want to sit there. I want to go to the casino. I want to gamble. I want to drink. I want to, do some drugs. But I just can't do that in Pokemon anymore. It's ridiculous. I mean, I can't feed any of my bad habits in this game. I can't win Pokemon like they're objects by, gambling. I mean, come on. Where else am I going to spend all my time now? They just took out like 10 hours in that game for me. Yeah. A big part of this game, it's very new, very gameplay-ish. I spent a lot of time to begin with the Dex Nav. What do you think about that?
That is the best thing to happen to this game. Hands down, in my opinion. It brings back, again, those feelings that I had like Gen 1, where like, I actually want to sit there and I want to catch them all. You know what I mean? Like, despite how cool that is. Like, because it's like, oh, there's only a couple more Pokemon left in this area. All right, I'm going to try it. I got to catch them, And so you go through each area and you try to get the silver or the platinum crown on your screen to say that, yes, I got them all. And then you go to the next area. Exactly. So, like, it's just cool. I only have one minor gripe about that whole process. I wish instead of binding the run button to be, they binded the sneak to be.
Yeah.
So that you...
That's a good idea.
Because here's the thing. I don't walk anywhere. If I'm on my feet, I'm running.
Yeah.
Anywhere. So if like, if I want to walk for whatever reason, you just lightly tap the stick, which is sneak now, and then run, you fully hold it over, which is what I do half the time anyway, and then when you want to sneak, you hold B and you can adjust the sneak, because a lot of times, I'm sneaking up to a Pokemon, and then if it's like, either in like a sand place or in the water where they kind of dip back and down really quick, I might accidentally move my stick too far, and then I'll startle them and they'll run away. Yeah. And it could be like a Pokemon I'm trying to look for, like, oh, I need to get this one, and then I lose them, and it could be like a slightly rarer one that you don't always come across.
That's a really good idea, though. Like, like how B is, run and everything. They could do that, but like hold in like Y or something. That's sneak, something like that. Like, yeah, that's a cool idea. I don't want, like, yeah, that would actually fix the problem, because sometimes I'll just be walking generally somewhere and like I'll just start sneaking and I have to like hold the button the whole way. It's a minor stupid complaint, but. Yeah, the Dex Nav is really cool. At first, getting outside of Little Root and, getting out into the world, and I finally got the Dex Nav. The first time you get it, you just want to run around and find every Pokemon in the area. it's a nice throwback to Black 2 and White 2, where there are areas and you know which Pokemon are in an area and you have to fill out the area in your, card or whatever in your Pokedex. But after a while, after I kind of got my team together, I like, these are my guys, this is my gang,
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't really use a lot. I mean, a lot of Pokemon would pop up places, I would just, go on by. Because, like, I had my team, so it kind of faded after a while, but the overall idea, and if I'm looking for anything, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like, I would just do it because I was like, alright, I want to try to catch as many Pokemon as possible. But, like, if you're looking for a specific Pokemon, like, the more times you encounter a Pokemon with a Dex Nav, the more stuff you can see about it. Like, the higher the chance you have of encountering a Pokemon that has, like, an egg move or something, or it has its hidden ability. I've been looking for a long time for a Sandshrew or a Sandslash that has Sand Rush ability, which is its hidden ability. Which, for people who don't know, hidden ability, there's been 4 or 5 main ways up until this point to get hidden abilities, and that's an event, breeding. There's like a area in Black 2 and White 2 that I think you can find Pokemon naturally with their hidden abilities, and then the Friend Safari. Up until this point, those were how you found Pokemon with their hidden abilities. Now, you can possibly encounter them in the wild. And also with the egg move stuff, that means maybe possibly less time I have to spend breeding if I'm looking for a specific Pokemon. If you can find it in the wild, just be like, oh, it has the move I want.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it fits in very nicely to the bottom screen, the options that you have. Another thing IGN said, but it was cluttered.
I think it works perfect. I think having the map down there...
The map is awesome. You don't have to carry around a town map anymore.
It's
and
real time, too.
Yeah, you can, as you're moving around, you see your guy, like, moving around, or your girl. As you're moving around, how do I explain this in words? If you look at the town map before, it would show you where you are at very solidly. You're solidly placed at an area. But if you're moving around, it kind of shows you moving around in the town. And if you go like upwards on a road or something, it shows you going up a little bit. It follows you around, and it's really cool. And the whole organization of everything on that is cool, and it brings back Pokemon, the Mii, the Super Training, the
all the GTS stuff.
Yeah. And we're not going to spend time on that like IGN, because that was actually introduced in the previous games. That's not a new element of the games at all. If you want to talk elements, we'll talk new elements. We're not going to talk old elements. This is new elements. This is practice.
I don't know if you have this in your notes, but it's something I wanted to mention really quick. Because they brought the Safari Zone back in this game. And it's the traditional Safari Zone, and I'm kind of iffy on the Safari Zone in this game. Like, it's cool that it's an open Safari Zone, you can catch lots of Pokemon, and it's not, like, stupid like an X and Y. Like, X and Y is cool because, you can go in and get, like, a certain Pokemon type. Like, if I'm looking for just... Yeah. But if I'm looking for... But it's not even really that, because you can just find random people online.
Oh, yeah.
But you're bound to 3 Pokemon is what sucks.
Yeah.
But, like, in this one, it's cool. You can go around, but then all the Pokemon kind of suck. I mean, I think you can catch a Gyarados in there, and I caught a Psyduck, which, I was like, yeah, Psyduck, why not? Or a Doduo. And I found a Heracross.
Yeah, he's back there. Some of them are neat.
But it's like, I don't know, there's, like, not, like... for me, like, with, like, the original Safari Zone, I would go in there trying to catch a Dragonair, or a Kangaskhan, or a Tauros. Like, there's no Pokemon like that. Like, these Pokemon that you can only find in the Safari Zone, which is not really any Pokemon you can only find there.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts on that.
Also, when I think about that, I think when you pay to go in the Safari like you used to, and you got the Safari balls, there aren't a wide variety of Pokeballs in this game. They go back to the old games where there's like, oh yeah, so many of this and that, whatever, and there's repeat balls, and there's luxury or whatever. There's not like a ton of new balls. Like, you're not surrounded by balls in this game, every which direction that you look. The last thing I guess we'll focus on here is some of the story, and with the story, if you can imagine, the game just being like the ground, and the story the story is like a building, and the building comes up off the ground, and you can see that it's a building. It's no longer the ground, and that's what the story is. The story adds height and depth, and you fill that story with people. You fill that building with people, just like you fill the story with characters. So it all comes around full circle. Some of the characters, the main characters in this game, Steven definitely made more appearances in this game than the originals. And definitely in the Delta episode, he was there a lot. But I always felt like he was just explaining something. It's not like,
he's the walking plot device.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, that always ruins something to me. It's just whenever I got somewhere, it's like, hey, I have something to explain to you. And it's like, dude, come on, come on, man, come on, I mean, some of the things like, yeah, I get, like, oh, I'll show you how to find Kecleon because this thing makes them appear. But sometimes it's like, I don't want to listen to you,
But like the thing with that,
I have somewhere to be.
With the Kecleon thing, that happened like twice.
Yeah.
And that's like it.
Well, there are a couple of them elsewhere. Like after in the game, there's one in the Moss Deep Space Center,
Okay.
and there's another one somewhere, but I forget. May or Brendan, whoever you pick, your counterpart. Counterparts. Your counterpart in the game that is not you. After you beat the game, after you catch the legendary after the Cave of Origin, after you beat the Delta episode, or even in the Delta episode at some parts, your counterpart acts like you are best friends. And that's cool and all. I get like, oh yeah, you're close, and that's like cool for the story, but I just never saw point A to point B. I never, I just kind of like it arrived there. And there were some things like, oh yeah, we battled Team Magma or Aqua together, or yeah, at some parts we ran into each other, we had rival battles, but like I never felt like that growing connection to her. I never felt like she was my friend. I always felt like she just showed up at some parts and was like, hey, you're there, and hey, how you doing? And then like after the Cave of Origin, she's all like, oh, look what you did, this is awesome, and like after you beat the Elite Four, hey, it's like, I wish she was around more so you could build that friendship. So, like in X and Y, it's big on friendship, and in Black and White, you have multiple friends in the game. I feel like Richard here talking about all my friends. You have friends. I felt like it would be cool if she was involved in the plot, or he was involved in the plot a little more. I picked the male character, so May was my friend, but. So that's why I said
I also felt like that there wasn't as many like rival battles as there have been.
Yeah.
Like there's only like 3 or 4, whereas like in X and Y, it seemed like every single time you turned a corner on a route, there Serena was, and she was like, "Let's battle."
Yeah, or like Tierno, or
the other no.
Yeah, the other two. Yeah, the other two.
The other two don't matter as much.
Wally, that guy. I felt like he was just almost invisible. Like Keith said, like who's he?
Yeah, it's like I honestly almost thought, because I don't remember the originals too much, that they just added him in. It was like, oh, let's just try to make you feel for another character, and it's like, oh, because you fight him like 3 times.
Yeah,
you meet him 3 times or something like that.
Yeah, and anytime I encounter him in the game, I'm just like, I don't feel like really any connection to. Like I saw you catch a Ralts, and then you show up in Maulville, and you still have your Ralts. And that's like forever since we see each other, and then you just show up at Victory Road and you have this like full team of Pokemon. I'm like, how'd you get all those? She's like you just got them out of nowhere. And then you go to the Battle Resort, and he's there too. It's like, I don't really feel like I'm your friend. Like, no offense to you, Wally, but I don't really feel like we're friends. You're
like some guy who just like keeps showing up, and I keep having to kick your ass.
It's like, oh, then you're sick, and then you're not. Like, good for you, dude. But we don't really feel like. I mean, we're not really that close. So back off a little bit. And I guess next I'll go to Max or Archie, and the rest of Team Magma or Aqua. They felt about the same as they did before. Maybe a little more bad guyish, especially Maxie. I played Omega Ruby. He felt a little more bad guyish, but about the run of the mill bad guy.
Yeah, I do, which is something really quickly since you brought up those guys I want to say about the story. The story's good. Like we said, it's basically the same. But I like that, whatever your legendary mascot is actually the central point of the game, and not like almost in X and Y. It was just like, hey, legendary, boom, there. That's whereas it's like it kind of makes sense in this game. So I just want to throw that point out.
Yeah, I do agree with that too. You haven't played through the Delta episode yet.
No.
I'm
at the Elite Four.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone because, like, it's not like I can spoil anything for like a Pokemon game, like the main plot, because people have played through Pokemon games. You kind of know how it's going to go and this and that or whatever. I didn't get anything into anything too specific, but the Delta episode, if you haven't played through that yet, it's kind of cool. It's something new. I feel like Pokemon games should do this more. Have an actual storied plot line. Not like the main games aren't storied or they don't have a plot. They're just kind of, you do stuff, you know? But this actually has a plot and you know, a feeling to it, and, you know, it's its own episode, if you will. Zinnia, the main character of this, she's pretty cool. I just wish there was, you know, I wish the whole Delta episode was a little more flowing, you know? In some parts, you have to fly to Mall Steep City, go to the Space Center, go somewhere else, go back to Mall Steep, go somewhere else, go back to Mall Steep. You keep having to go back to Mall Steep, and, I don't know, that just, it doesn't ruin it for me, but it's that one little thing that it just makes me feel a little uncomfortable about it. But Zinnia, she's pretty cool, but maybe the battles were a little harder. I feel like she would have been a cooler character, but I kind of wiped her off of the face of the earth multiple times. Not to brag. I don't mean to brag in any of this. Because like, not like, oh, the games are too easy, you know. But, you know, I work at training my Pokemon. You know, I just wipe people off the face of the earth. But I felt like if she was harder person to battle, because Dragon Pokemon have always been, like, hard to beat, and that's what she is. She's a Dragon Pokemon trainer, but, you know, I whoop her. I don't know. I wish she was like the dragon gym leader from the second generation, from Johto. What's her name? The one with Kingdra. I can't remember her name right now. I'm an idiot. But what?
Lance.
Not Lance. Her name is Lance. That could, you know, Lance could be a girl's name.
Who knows?
But I wish she was harder.
Okay. Like I said, I haven't gotten there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Groudon was pretty cool. The story was pretty cool.
Yeah, the primal reversions are alright. Like, I mean, he just gets bigger and he gets shinier, and I guess he gets a power increase, but I mean, like, it's pretty alright. I don't know if it's like, I don't know. It's weird they gave Rayquaza Mega Evolution, but not Groudon and Kyogre, but it's whatever.
I have two final points. My two final points and a summary of this game. One quick point is they tried to expand a little bit, I feel, on some of the mythology of Groudon, Kyogre, whichever game you play, and maybe Rayquaza a little bit in the Delta episode. It was kind of iffy for me. Like I liked that they tried to include some of them, like Groudon, more in the story and surrounded him with it. I like that they did that. Something about it was just a little bit off. Not so off that I didn't like it. I liked it, but especially Rayquaza. Everything that kind of went through the mythology of him, trying to give him more of a part in the story. It was, I don't know, it was not what I expected. It was interesting. But then at the end of the Delta episode, Deoxys, you finally get Deoxys in the game. Deoxys is like my second favorite Pokemon of all time, and I just don't like how they did him. If you play the game, I don't want to ruin it for you, but you know, they include Rayquaza and, you know, this and that, and then Rayquaza shows up, and then some stuff happens, and then I just wish they made Deoxys a little bit more special and treated him like, you know, the rare delicacy that he is for games. Like, you finally get Deoxys in a game, but it's just like, here he is, you know?
Okay.
Here he is.
So I think that's about this review. It's a bit of a long one. If you had to give a rating, what's your rating?
Gotta be... what's yours?
I would honestly give this in like 8.8 out of 10. Like, it's a Pokemon game, so I mean, you kind of have to take this with a grain of salt, but this is a really good Pokemon game. This is probably one of the, at least in my opinion, definitely one of the best Pokemon games I've played. Just because, I mean, X and Y was okay, and I mean, this is the 3D graphics, all kinds of gameplay upgrades, and it's, again, the story that one of the stories I'm probably most familiar with Pokemon, so 8.8.
I would... In this game, I feel like there's not a lot keeping you in each town. In hindsight, that's the word I'm thinking of, right? I'm an idiot. In hindsight, I was going to say in foresight, and then I think foreskin. I'm like, no, that's not it. in hindsight, hindskin, that would be kind of weird. In hindsight, looking at this game in Buttskin, I felt like there was nothing, there wasn't as much as I wanted to keep me in each town, like, exploratively. That's not even a word, I don't think.
I think it is,
exploratively. Like, each town, I kind of did my role, you know, and then I just kind of went to the next one, you know, and some of the towns, seeing them, they were really cool. I like seeing this game brought back, you know, given this spice. It was better than X and Y. It was more of a game than X and Y. A couple of minor, you know, iffy things, but I wish some of the characters were there a little more. Like Keith said, even though this is a remake, it's still a game that came out in the 6th generation, and after playing Pokemon for 6 generations in my life, playing every single Pokemon game, this isn't, you know, Ruby and Sapphire where it's like the 3rd set of games. This is like the 6th generation. I played through 6 generations, so Pokemon's story does wear on you a little bit. It's still good though, it still holds up. Definitely a 9 out of 10. Alright. I just kind of wish there was a little more
fleshed out
story,
a little more meat to it, to the story.
Yeah,
maybe like change it up a little bit. Go away from the Pokemon. Stop being so Pokemon.
But it still holds up. It's definitely good for the originals. Too much water.
Too much water. 7.8 out of 10. Too much water. You know.
Too much land. I'm gonna go on the flip side. Too much land.
Too much land.
Yeah, I joined Team Aqua. Too much land.
Well, if that's what they were trying to do. All in all, IGN it's a super meta review where they're trying to be Team.
IGN works for Team Aqua.
All right, so definitely pick up these games and yeah,
don't
thanks
pick
for